Double checking. I'm double checking everything. I want to say... Yep, there we go. Yep, we are live. Hello, everyone. Or should I say hello to anybody watching, whether this is live or not. I just figured that, if I tried to do this as a video, that would have to be edited by me or someone else, that it would take a little bit of time, and we're already a couple months into 2026, as terrifying as that is for me personally. But yeah, I wanted to do this live, to discuss, yes, hello everyone. I should, what am I doing? Hello everyone. Hey everyone. Usual Spinning the Cineweb intro stuff. Hi. Very neurodivergent, in case you can't tell. Welcome to another Spinning the Cineweb video. In this case, I believe this is our first Ranking the Cineweb video. I mean, the subtitles of the series are more just that's just a nice little thing, But yeah, this is technically, I believe, the first rankings video. I've wanted to do a couple others. Obviously, I've always had the hopes of getting in a top 10 of some sorts for other years. And then also, I know I also wanted to do a every Spider-Man movie ranked video at some point. Especially, I know I initially wanted to do that after all the Spider Mondays for Columbia's 100th anniversary or what have you. And I could still definitely do that. I still have some fun ideas for that if I do get to that. But I figured, it's never a wrong place to stop with talking about your favorite movies from, I guess, this past year. I normally never get to doing these by the end of 2025, and usually for me personally, my list isn't really fully formed until, I want to say sometime January or February, because there's still a lot of catch up to do. Going into the new year, there are still some things that I hadn't seen. There's still some things I have not seen, but I knew I was just never going to be, I know with any time I've been able to do this, whether it's been for when I wrote for the school newspaper or when I did it for the Spinning the Cineweb blog, that, it wasn't ever going to, it would be have very high hopes that I don't think would ever be fulfilled of getting, at least in the current time frame, with my ability in getting content out, to get it in before the end of the year. And yes, we are a couple months into the year, but dang it, I mean, as far as I'm aware, the Oscars still have not happened yet. As I say, as far as I'm aware, I don't know for a fact that they haven't happened yet. I've already done my predictions for the nominations and then showed you guys all my reactions to the nominations. And I just figured that, it just makes too much sense to, because I love talking about my favorite movies or best movies of the previous year or of or favorite what have you. I love talking about that, and I think before the Oscars, I think that's in my mindset. If I did it after the Oscars, then it would be, well, maybe if it was a little bit after the Oscars, that's besides the point. I think we still have enough justification, and even if there wasn't, I want to talk about it. So, what other justification does there need to be when I want to do it? And I want to make this video, or live stream in this case, to talk about my top 10 movies. Well, I should say, I did title this video Top 10 Plus Movies of 2025, because there are obviously a lot of great movies that came out last year. Not all of them made my top 10. But I also did, I know a couple years ago, and I initially shot a video for the top 10, or rather top 15 movies of 2023. Just never got to finishing that. But some years I it ends up being like 15 or 20 movies that I feel really strongly about. This year, I definitely feel strongly about my 10 movies, but I also still was ranking on my 11 through 15, and I figured, well, to be honest, I think top 10 of, top 10 movies of X year just sounds nicer than top 15 or best movies or favorite movies, whatever. So I kind of just like, because I still want to talk about my 11 through 15. So I will be doing that through this as well. I will not be, or at least will try to not give as much time to them compared to the top 10 itself. And also throw out a couple honorable mentions. And, if anybody happens to watch this live, I don't know if that'll happen or not. I mean, this is still a very young, budding channel. I'm well aware that I am probably just talking to myself right now, but, and that the real appeal to this is watching it after the fact. But if anyone tunes in live, and if you would like to spout out, your favorite movies of 2025, or my thoughts on a movie from 2025 that I haven't brought up at any point, feel free to shout that out. That's the one benefit of doing this live. The no benefit is I don't get to do silly jokes as much, but I still do that innately through my talking, just not as much with a fun cut or whatever. But that's besides the point. I'm a rambler. Welcome to the channel. If you are unaware of how much I ramble, or I've rambled with other people on this channel, well, yeah, I'm a rambler. Duh. And I love movies and everything pop culture. I also even wanted to do, I had hopes of doing my top 5 or 10 shows of last year, because I actually felt a lot better about that. And then even my top 10 games of last year, because I'm also a big video game fan. But I just didn't get to end up finding the time for it, or life just happens, or mental health crap just makes it go all down the drain, which it happens. So even feel free to shout out some of those things too. I love just the end of year, like, best of lists. And in my mind, at least with movies at this point, I'm definitely still thinking about it, because the Oscars have not happened yet. With other things like games and shows, I've kind of moved on. But for movies, especially because that is, at the end of the day, I think it's still my favorite medium. It's a good one. So I just still figured that it's, as Elton John would say, it's never too late. And he's done 2 songs called Never Too Late. One of them was for the Lion King remake. Another was for his own documentary. That is very tangential. That movie, I do believe, got an Oscar nomination for Best Original Song. Not the Lion King one, no. That's besides the point. I am rambling. I guess I should also just, start this conversation by just going in general on 2025 was a pretty dang good year for movies. I think everyone can agree with that. Everyone's mileage may vary. I know I watch For Your Consideration a lot, and I know Jeff always likes to get spicy and say this wasn't a great year for Oscars movies, or a great year for movies in general. Personally, I'm someone who, it's very easy for me to lean positive with my opinions on movies and anything. I like to be an optimist in life, and I just like to like things. So that's just generally how my tastes lean. Not that I can't have criticisms, nor that you shouldn't have criticisms, but I'm just a positive leaning person in general. But even if I wasn't, 2025 had some real great markers. It's definitely been a very odd and bizarre year for the industry. Since the last time I talked for this channel, Warner Brothers was seemingly going to get bought by Netflix, and now they're seemingly going to get bought by Paramount. I'm still surprised that shift went through. Last year was both good for the box office and bad for the box office. Good for life, good for, well, at least in the country of the States, not great in a lot of other ways, but when in doubt, movies can either be a source of escapism from all that to forget about all of it, or a source of talking point and literally actively confronting the times we live in. Again, art, entertainment, and also in a lot of cases both, as Harrison Ford said during his AFI speech the other week ago. 2025 was a really great year for movies. I know I talked a lot about some movies that I enjoyed during my Oscar predictions, and I think, and yes, obviously, some of those movies are at least going to come up during this video. I think that's to go without saying. Some of them you could probably already guess. If some people, I might have already told you my top 10 going into this, you kind of already know what my favorite movies from last year were. And I lean towards saying favorite, even though, like, I guess technically speaking, like, whenever I rank a list, it ends up being like a mix of best and favorite. But really, in the grand scheme, it is hard to take your own personal subjective bias out of it. And I know that's not a bad thing at all. That's the great thing about talking about art and entertainment, is that everyone has different takes. I've, had several movies on this list. I know, like, people that really enjoy and people that really don't enjoy, or what have you. And that's one of the beautiful things about just talking about movies and, like, talking about your favorites or what you also think was best. And again, I generally, like, think I don't label it one or the other. It definitely leans favorite, but it's just my top 10, like, this is what my top 10 movies of 25, well, top 15 kind of movies of 2025. You are right to have your own top 10s or your own top 15s. If you thought Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie was your favorite movie from last year, good on you. I'm glad you had a great time. I did not, but that is besides the point. That is the beautiful thing about talking about movies, and I think that is a very lovely thing, and 2025, again, was another great year for that. So let's get the conversation rolling a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I'll just do this mainly from my iPad because I have my phone over there, but I also have the notes and all that on my iPad as well. I don't know I'm talking in this voice, but, the show must go on, as the kids say, I suppose before I get into the 11 through 15, I'm going to spout out a couple more honorable mentions. Again, I'm not even planning on talking about the 11 through 15 too much, just for the sake of time. I mean, I know I'm going to ramble a lot, and this is probably going to be a longer video than it probably should be. That's just kind of how I roll so far, and I hope you enjoy it. So I'm just going to spout out some other honorable mentions, and then also another, like, special honorable mention that I will definitely give a little bit more thoughts on. A couple of honorable mentions, and I just want to get this out of the way so that anybody, who's like, oh, is this going to be on the top 10? Let me at least set some expectations first. I'm going to list some honorable mentions that include Marty Supreme. That one did recently, I think, drop off from my overall 15. But yeah, obviously great. Timmy's great. Drop, severely underrated horror movie from this past year. It is very much a case of, simple but effective, and that is not a bad thing at all. Roofman, the Channing Tatum movie where he stays in a Toys R Us, insanely enjoyable with a lot of heart, and just a lot of depth too. Die My Love, which was very controversial or mixed, and depending on which circles, but it's one I actually found a lot of enjoyment out of. Not perfect. If some of my issues with it were, it could have honestly cracked this list. Had a few things been different, but that's besides the point. Weapons is another, very notable movie from last year for a lot of people. Amy Madigan I'm still very much would be happy to see her win the Oscar for supporting actress. It's very hard to tell at this point. Materialists, Celine Song's follow-up film to Past Lives from a couple years ago, which was one of my favorite movies that year. Materialists is another very enjoyable movie. And then Eternity, an A24 Apple co-production on the afterlife, has a very low-key feel. I enjoyed it a lot. Those are my honorable mentions. And then what I've kind of done for myself the past couple years, and if I had been better about publishing a top 10, you probably would have noticed this, because I want to say since 2022, I started doing this thing where in my personal rankings, I've started including a special honorable mention of a movie that, isn't maybe, in my opinion, is it like good enough to be like for me to put it into my own rankings, like of like the top 10, like because again, this is still a little bit of what I think is was the best things from last year. You know, no, these but it is definitely something that meant a lot to me for whatever reasons that I will, continue to mention. The first thing that I ever noted as a special honorable mention was Sonic Movie 2, which is not a perfect movie, but one I got a lot of enjoyment out of, and it really did mean a lot to me. Even if it is not a perfect movie, it is still a very good movie, though. I want to say I did Indiana Jones and the Dials of Destiny for 2023. I want to say maybe Hitman for this past year, because that's a movie I saw with my LA Study Away cohort and kept on referencing. And this year, and I will definitely talk about this a little bit, my special honorable mention goes to Tron Ares. I don't know if I've mentioned it in any other videos. I am a massive Tron fan, or specifically from Tron Legacy. I actually didn't watch the original Tron a lot growing up. I didn't even see it before I saw Tron Legacy as a kid. But I saw Tron Legacy as a kid, and I loved it. And like, to me, it was such this huge thing on the level of Star Wars, on the level of my love for Spider-Man and Sonic and Marvel and all that stuff. I loved the world of Tron. I loved the cartoon. And I remember even like a couple years ago when I rewatched Tron Legacy for the first time in years. And it's like a lot of times there are those times when you're a kid and you have those things that you've seen, but then your tastes change and they mature, and then you go, oh, these are movies that I liked as a kid. Oh, I know they're bad now. Or, then you rewatch them and it's like, oh, they do not hold up. I was very nervous about Tron Legacy holding up, because I know the Tron Legacy, or the Tron franchise, is in general very divisive. I don't want to say, divisive, very cult, not very niche. Like, not everybody loves Tron or gets into Tron. Thankfully, when I rewatched Tron Legacy a couple years ago, to me it holds up. I honestly think Tron Legacy is an underrated sci-fi masterpiece. I feel like it's like a beautiful mix of like Star Wars and Blade Runner themes. But that's all besides the point. And I like saying that a lot too. I keep catching myself on phrases I like saying a lot. But yeah, obviously it is a niche franchise. I think Tron Legacy did okay in the theaters, but nothing amazing, because again, this is a very niche franchise. The original movie came out in 1982, and Tron Legacy was 2010 or 2011, a long time gap. And from 2010 to 2025, another long time gap. They initially even wanted to make a Tron 3 or Tron Ascension, I believe it was what it was supposed to be called. Joseph Kosinski, of now Top Gun Maverick and F1 fame, he did the Tron Legacy, and I think he was going to do the Tron 3, but that never panned out. But then Tron Ares came about from, yes, I think someone that I don't think a lot of people, at least in my age group, are like too huge on, Jared Leto. Is he technically a fine? Is he technically a solid actor? I think from my personal experiences, I think so. At least from what I've seen, I haven't still seen all of Jared Leto's works. Not perfect. And his character actor tendencies, I think, have tainted a lot of our views on Jared Leto. I almost said that. I did now say it. But his character actorness has kind of left a stain in everyone's mouths. But he was very clearly a passionate Tron fan. He produced Tron Ares, and then it just was, coming out, and then I was like, I'm gonna, be cautiously optimistic, namely cautiously because of Jared Leto. But it seemed like a very fun premise. The idea of bringing Tron into like the digital world, into the grid, into the real world, was a fascinating idea to me. I didn't necessarily care that it wasn't a direct follow-up to Tron Legacy. I thought it was like looking fun. The idea that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross were not only doing the score, they were already great, but then they were doing it as Nine Inch Nails. That was awesome. So everything was just kind of leading into a lot of excitement for Tron Ares for me. I did get to see it in IMAX the opening weekend, and yes, I know this movie did not do well. And yes, is it critically beloved? Not from everyone. I want to say it's like in the 50s on Rotten Tomato. Again, very niche, very, not it's not for everyone. Tron is not a franchise for everyone, uh, or at least maybe they just haven't figured out a way to crack the code on Tron for that. I mean, I'd love to do that someday on my own, but I saw it, and yes, Tron Ares is not without its faults. I think it suffers from a lot of tropes, or not even a trope, like a thing that a lot of just major Hollywood films suffer from nowadays, in that they go along very quickly. I definitely feel a little bit of Disney, just like they feel like you can feel their presence in the edit of Tron Ares, but I still really enjoyed it. It still made me very happy as a Tron fan to see a new Tron movie with new Tron ideas. Yes, Jared Leto is, if you can remove all your feelings about Jared Leto, which if you can't, I don't blame you. But if you're a massive enough Tron fan, I think you should, because I think he's solid in the movie. Greta Lee is phenomenal. The effects and the visuals are great. And yeah, as a massive Tron fan, it was, I don't want to say everything I was hoping it to be, but it was what I was hoping at least it could be, which was just a good Tron movie. Um, Definitely would recommend watching the original movie beforehand, which I actually did get to do, like literally the week of, and actually references it quite a bit. Too much for some people, probably. And yeah, some of it is nostalgic pandering, but some of it's also neat too. But yeah, that is really all why I wanted to talk about Tron Ares as maybe not one of the best movies of 2025, but a movie that left a notable enough impact for me, and that is why I gave it my special honorable mention for this past year. Now, onto the real, well, starting to get into the meat of it. Let's go through my 15 to 11. Again, I am hoping to maybe not even talk about these as much as Tron Ares, because I want to make the bulk of this my top 10 movies of 2025, but I do want to give some time to these movies. I'm gonna start off with, and again, this section of it, I'm gonna make like not as big of a deal. I'm not gonna do like a drum roll. That comes later. But I'm gonna say my number 15 of the list is a movie that I thought was great. I thought was delightful. Unfortunately, not a lot of people saw it. I think the marketing failed this movie. It is from a studio that means a lot to me, as I'm sure you would probably know. It is Pixar's Elemental. Or not Elemental, Jesus. Elio. They both start with EL. Why did I say Elemental? Yes, Elio I thought was delightful. I really liked the premise. I was hooked from the first teaser when it was initially going to come out the same year as Inside Out 2, which obviously did not happen. It got pushed back and delayed. America Ferrera was even supposed to voice the one character, and then that switched to Zoe Saldana, and I believe the character switched from aunt to mother. Pixar movies, in case you don't know, like a lot of times they'll make them in full, and then they'll do like a full review or something like that, and then be like, okay, are we satisfied with this? And if they're not, they'll just kind of like wipe the slate clean. Sometimes, that's led to movies that have like had several different drafts, like The Good Dinosaur had a lot of different drafts and delays. Sometimes I think they maybe even canceled some things because of that. But that's how they still keep, is Pixar bulletproof like they were in their golden age? Absolutely not. But I still thought Elio was delightful. Domei Shi is one of the co-directors, but there's several co-directors that worked on this. I can't remember all of them. I loved the premise of a boy that actively wanted to discover aliens or get abducted by aliens, and then seeing the world of the aliens in Elio is delightful. I thought Elio as a character was really great. I know that a lot of people were hoping it would have a queer lean to it, and it seems like that there's probably a lot of Pixar stories that I can tell, at least for the big screen. I know they did a short one year that was openly about queer people. That it seems like a lot of Disney, like anytime they get like kind of close to having a queer story, like Disney kind of pushes down on them a little bit, which is, again, Pixar is mostly able to do what they want. Like any other like individual studio run by Disney, but then, for international marketing purposes, then, some countries are just not as LGBTQ friendly as the States, which is, well, currently not great. But that's besides the point. I still thought the friendship in Elio was great. It's funny. It's heartfelt. It, I mean, I will mention it again, the same thing I mentioned with Tron Ares. It has that, and especially for movies meant for, like, I don't, because Pixar movies are always meant for all audiences, especially the best ones are really adult films that children happen to be able to watch. Um, but any like animated movie nowadays, I feel like has a meant for families, has a tendency to really like go like a little too rapid fire pace. Um, but I don't think that was enough to make me not love Elio. I do think it is a great movie. I was glad to see it get a nomination for animated feature, despite it not doing well at the box office. I mean, at the time I'm live streaming this, Hoppers is out this weekend. It's getting great reviews. I'm really excited about it. If I have the time, I would love to do a review of that in some form, but you know, that's just hard to say whether I will have time, especially just life just gets busy and I know the Oscars are next week. So it's hard to say I'll be able to have time. I'm guessing not. If I'm wrong, obviously you'll know when a video or a live stream gets posted. But that is why Elio, like I couldn't go without in this video without mentioning Elio. Next up, I'm going to go to my number 14, which was Rental Family. It was a Fox Searchlight or Searchlight Pictures, whichever you want to call it, movie with Hikari directing, Brendan Fraser with a really, really fascinating premise. In case you haven't seen the trailer, I'll give you a brief summary that it's like he's just an actor living in Japan. Obviously, Brendan Fraser is the lead. And he starts to work for this company where they start to play roles in people's lives. Like, it's like, hey, I'm, your doctor, I'm a journalist, or in the main case of the family is I'm your father. Like he plays someone's father, even though he is obviously not their father. And I remember seeing the trailer and I was like, oh, this looks wonderful. I almost wonder if like because I honestly think going into it, when I saw it in theaters, my expectations were getting a little too high. I honestly thought this was going to be like a top 5 contender, but is it still great? Yes, it is still great. It is still so wonderfully heartfelt. Brendan Fraser is terrific in this movie, and the ensemble cast is great too. I'm blanking on a lot of the names, but the person that plays the daughter in a sense in the film, she's wonderful. The other actors in his the company that he starts to work with, they're also wonderful. There's an older Japanese like director, I believe, or director character in the film. He's great. I believe it is Hikari's, I want to say feature directorial debut. If not feature, then definitely like, she hasn't made a ton of films, and I know she did a lot of work on Beef or other films. I'm just spitballing here. It had a really wonderful score. If you're just a sucker for Japanese culture, which I definitely can be, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this that are anime fans will just love just seeing the Japanese landscapes of the film. It is a very beautiful looking film. It has a wonderful score. It's very heartfelt. Sure there's a couple, notes that I can't remember because of course I can't. But ultimately that's why I really want to make sure I brought up Rental Family as my 14th favorite best film of 2025. Next up, it's number 13, and number 13 is one that I'm sure a lot of people are expecting to get brought up at some point, given certain interests. It is Thunderbolts, with an asterisk. And even though they've kind of already, well, if you look up Thunderbolts nowadays, they've revealed what the asterisk means. But the movie is much more than what the asterisk is. This movie is great. I am obviously a massive Marvel fan. I am, and oftentimes a bigger fan of MCU things that people haven't been a fan of the past couple of years. I really enjoyed Multiverse of Madness. When I first saw Love and Thunder, I really enjoyed it. I have no clue how that would hold up now, but like certain things that people have thought are just actively bad, I haven't disliked. And then the ones that really that do resonate with a lot of people, I love them, and Thunderbolts is no exception. It is like when I like knowing that it was going to be a pseudo Suicide Squad type where it's like all like characters that are not exactly hero types. I mean, Ghost was the villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and she's in this movie. We have Florence Pugh as Yelena, another Black Widow, in essence, and she's basically the lead character in this. Team up in a pseudo Avengers fashion to stop something that the trailers kept very vague, but then the idea of Sentry being sort of the antagonistic force, I should say, but then also Val from the other movies, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and she is wonderful in this movie. The whole ensemble cast is great. Florence Pugh is great. Wyatt Russell is great again as John Walker, U.S. agent. Did I say David Harbour? David Harbour is fantastic as Red Soldier. Oh God, why am I blanking on his name? Alexei. Elena's. Or Yelena, excuse me. Lewis Pullman is obviously great as Bob, as they mentioned so humorously during the trailers. It's not his first time playing a Bob. The movie looks great. It has it definitely has a somewhat muted color palette, but one that is clearly intentional. It's not just lazy. It's a very emotional movie. It is a movie about mental health, really, in the context of a superhero movie, which if you know me, I love mental health stuff, and I loved that discussion. The action is great. The characterization is great. And yes, obviously the way it fits into the Marvel whole is great. It is a great Marvel movie. Like, maybe there's a couple notes on like some characters not have, especially whenever it gets to an ensemble. Oh yeah, Bucky's in this movie. He's great. Son Lux from Everything Everywhere All at Once. They did the score for this movie, and it was insanely good. Some of the visuals also feel like they're straight up out of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Definitely, and they even had that one trailer that was just that was initially made as a joke, but was basically them talking about all the A24 people that worked on this movie. It's like, this movie is cinema. Like, that's kind of the vibe that Thunderbolts was going for. And I loved it. I thought it was great. Sure, a couple characters could have gotten a little bit more time to them. Geraldine Viswanathan is in this movie, but she does not have a major role. And her role kind of feels like exposition. I wish that wasn't the case. But either way, that is besides the point. I loved Thunderbolts. I definitely wish it did better at the box office, but I think at least word of mouth in this has been pretty solid and pretty strong. And I think that its legacy will live on. It is very much, a movie that you should watch if you are planning on seeing Avengers Doomsday this upcoming year. Again, the asterisk is probably, and one of the most intriguing titles. You never thought having an asterisk on the title would have keep people guessing, but they did. That was a great marketing choice, and also just it frames how you think of the movie, because if you knew what the movie really was going in, it kind of just, it makes it seem less like an underdog story, which Thunderbolts also really is. And that is why it's definitely another movie I want to bring up. That's why I didn't want to just list it in with another honorable mention. I could have just scraped in the 11 through 15 as an honorable mention, but I did not want to do that. That is why I loved Thunderbolts. I'm kind of wearing the color scheme of the poster and the marketing right now. And yeah, Thunderbolts was great. Moving on to number 12, and this is definitely the most recent movie to get added into this, into my rankings. Not quite the top 10, but once I saw, I was like, ooh, not quite top 10, but definitely like in the 11 or 12 spot, which is where it ended up being, is one of the catch-up movies for Best Picture. It is a movie I mentioned a lot during my predictions for the Oscars. It is Joachim Trier's Sentimental Value. For context, I had not seen The Worst Person in the World, which he did a couple years ago, but I heard it was great. And I was hearing a lot of great things about this movie with the Oscars race and the awards race. But truthfully, I didn't really know that much what it was about. Um, and I knew it was something of a melodrama. Like I knew it wasn't like a, there wasn't really any action. There wasn't like it wasn't like supposed to. It wasn't nominated as a comedy by the Golden Globes, which is not saying much. They nominated one battle after another as a comedy, even though that movie has funny moments, but is very much not a comedy in its essence. Um, Sentimental Value just seemed like a movie about a lot of sentimental topics, a movie about just family and different generations. I knew a little bit that it was a movie about a filmmaker, but it going into it didn't seem like it was a movie like The Studio is a show that is very much a show about movies or the industry and Hollywood and all that. And it's very tongue in cheek about it. Or even more dramatic things. It's like, I'm thinking, like The Fablemans, like that is a movie about movies and like that. The Sentimental Value is not really a movie about movies. It happens to be about a filmmaker, or rather, one of the characters is a filmmaker, and the other is an actress. But it's great. It really did affect me. I definitely was welling up when I was seeing it in theater. I had a lovely conversation with someone about it. It has, um, uh, it's funny talking about this right after Thunderbolts. It has some very genuine and authentic representations of depression, without going into it too much, obviously. But Joaquin Trier just has such a sentimental touch onto the story. It's a very beautifully told. It takes its time without feeling like it's dragging on too much. Maybe like cut like a little bit, but like that's besides the point. It like Stellan Skarsgård is wonderful. I still have him. I think he's still gonna win supporting actor, and honestly, I would still hope he wins supporting actor. He is wonderful in this movie. It's a very understated performance, but Renata Rensview is also terrific. Uh, Inga, insert the rest of her last name here. She's terrific as the sister. Elle Fanning is great too. Everyone, even like a lot of the smaller actors, like that just get like one scene with Stellan Skarsgård or Renata Rensview, like they have a great moment. It's beautifully shot without like making too big of a deal of itself. It has the editing is very interesting in the structure of the movie as a whole, on both like current, past traumas and continuing traumas or what have you. And it actually has a lot of similarities to another movie on that I will bring up later in this list of like art, the therapeutic powers of art. I think it's very potent, it's very powerful, and I really, really loved Sentimental Value. Like, and just given how it was a really competitive year, for my personal lists, any other year this could have gone higher, and potentially upon rewatches, maybe it will go higher. But as it is, I'm still very happy to call Sentimental Value my 12th movie from 2025 or film. You know, I rotate the two terms. Some people like to be pretentious about it's like, well, that's a movie. This is a film, and I guess you could say, but they're synonyms. And if you don't think they are, then I hate to say it, but you're basically a film bro. All right, and on to the last movie before we get into the top 10 proper. And a movie that was very much in my top 10 for quite a bit, and it was a hard one to like switch out with, but ultimately, I think maybe just because I don't think of it as much, maybe as some of the movies in my top 10. But my number 10 is The Long Walk. I would say it's definitely horror, or if not horror, then it's definitely genre. It is based off a Stephen King story. Can't remember if it was a full book or a short story. It is directed by Francis Lawrence, who did the most of the Hunger Games movies. And I know he's done some other things too, other notable things. But either way, I remember seeing the trailer, and it's just a very dystopian idea of, it's hard to really talk about the premise of about the movie without talking about the premise, in that it's it's like a bunch of kids, I believe one per state or whatever, in this dystopian society where they enter this contest, the long walk, where if they drop below a certain pace, they get shot, or as they say in the movie, their ticket. But then the one that makes it all the way, then they get a boatload of money and whatever, something wish. So obviously it's not a movie for the kiddos. It talks a lot about a lot of mature topics. There's a lot of some. It doesn't always focus on the gore, but it is definitely there and has a necessary purpose to show there is a necessary amount of shock factor that needs to be in this to help feel with also to feel the exhaustion and just the grossness of what these people are forced to go through. These young, most of them are just they're barely adults. Like, if any of them are adults, like they're like kids, and it's just, it's a perfect case of a dystopian movie. Stephen King, obviously, is no stranger to that territory, and it has great tension. Like, you really are like you are gripping your seat while watching this movie, whether that is at home or if you saw it in the theater, or if you happened to be one of those people that went to that long walk screening where they had to be walking the whole time, which was a great piece of marketing. But also, more than anything, it has really, really wonderful character exploration. Like, every character, well, almost every character, like even the assholes, like in the movie, like they treat all of them with love. The people on the walk, and then obviously Mark Hamill plays, I believe, the Colonel. I believe is his name. He's just referred to as the Colonel. And Mark Hamill is great. It's great to see Mark Hamill in more live action film roles. And it's just outside of Star Wars, obviously. And Cooper Hoffman, I want to say is his name, plays in general, the lead, alongside the guy that played, he was in Alien Romulus. Let's see if I can remember him. David Johnson. He's also great. I know. I mean, this movie has, again, a really good cast. Judy Greer is in it. Ben Wong from that Karate Kid film is in it. Robin Griffin Davis is in this movie from Jojo Rabbit. A really great cast. Very strong cinematography. This movie can get, despite the dark nature of its subject matter, can get very pretty, and they don't glance over that. It has a very intense. The sound is great. The score is wonderful. I thought it was a James Newton Howard score since he's worked with Francis Lawrence before, but apparently not. Either way, it is still a great score with a lot of great tension. I never read the book. I know it switched things up a little bit from what I'm mistaken, but it explores a lot of great themes, a lot of topical themes of the world we live in nowadays, that it's scary how close this movie is to. I would definitely say it is at least a thriller. So or close enough to horror to where if you just think the premise makes you uncomfortable, I wouldn't watch this. If you're just not into scary movies or genre fests in general, I would not watch it. But if you're into that even a little bit, it is a great time. It has a lot of great characterization. It's a really fantastic movie. Could not highly recommend it more. It goes to show that this movie, that 2025 was a great year when this movie just barely scrapes the outside of my top 10. But we are through the 11 through 15, and now I'm going to get a little bit fancier with my actual 10 through 15. So yeah, we have reached the actual top 10 portion of this video. A little bit far in, but that's fine. I know I ramble and I rant, and that's just how this goes. And if anybody wants to watch, that's just my style. That's just how I roll. So for number 10, our first movie in the official list, if you will, my 10th favorite best movie of 2025. And I'm curious to see how many guesses people have been able to come up with. But my 10th favorite movie of 2025 is Zootopia 2. I'm glad you guys can see this. I was worried with the glare would not let it work, but alas it did. Zootopia 2 is my 10th movie of 2025. I loved the original Zootopia. It came out it was one of the came out during my first year of reviewing movies for my school newspaper, or rather my first school year, I should say. Um, so it was like I was, and I have always loved animation. I've always will love animation. That will never change. And I loved Zootopia. It is very much a Disney animation movie that feels a lot like a Pixar movie. It's not about a princess. It is about it has a female lead character, but they never call her a princess, and they never intend this new movie to be a Disney princess movie. It's a movie that the original Zootopia actually gets very political while also being fun and exploring a great world. It is everything I love in a great Disney animated movie, and a great animated movie in general, meant for all audiences. Adults can get a lot out of it. 2016 was a tough year for animation at the Oscars. Kubo and the Two Strings also came out that year, another wonderful Leica film. Moana was that same year. I thought it was going to be Moana that won it, but then Zootopia did. But was I complaining? No, I think Zootopia and Moana they're genuinely, I love both of those movies so much. I honestly don't know what is my favorite between those. So I had a lot of hopes and excitement for Zootopia 2. I also just was like, it's like, yeah, when are we getting Zootopia 2? Out of all the Disney animated movies or Disney Pixar movies, of all the ones that people don't think should get sequels or like get sequels, it's like, why? Or it's like, Zootopia 2 from the get-go had a world that I saw and I was like, I want more. And we got, and with characters that, like, you could tell another story in Zootopia that is completely void of Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde, and it would be just as great in my opinion, assuming, it is good. But I had high hopes. I've been looking forward to this movie even before it was officially announced years ago. And I believe the directors for this came back. Most of the voice cast came back. Jennifer Goodwin, I believe, as the voice of Judy Hopps. Jason Bateman as well, featuring a bevy of newcomers, but namely Ke Huy Quan, as I believe Gary is his name of the snake, as you can see in the poster. And includes focus on different aspects of Zootopia while also still having a lot of that same Zootopia feel. I saw this, and this movie has been, obviously, if you've been paying attention to how movies have been doing, some have not been doing great, but Zootopia 2 had opened the doors wide open around its Thanksgiving time frame. It is now the highest grossing movie of the U.S. from this past year. It is very much, it is obviously a massive hit. I believe it is now, not including inflation, the highest grossing U.S. animated film of all time, which is crazy. I would say it's the highest grossing animated movie from last year, but Ne Zha 2 from China made over $1 billion. Or no, $2 billion. And that was mainly from China alone. That movie was huge over there. But so was Zootopia. Zootopia is huge overseas, huge in the States. I love Zootopia. And families love Zootopia. I know the second I show this to my family, they will love Zootopia too. It is just a hard movie not to love. It does everything that Zootopia 1 did well. Better or worse? Hard to say. It's very much on the same plane. Do I know which is I prefer over the two? I honestly don't know, because they're both wonderful. I love both of these movies so much. I've obviously seen Zootopia 1 a lot more than I have Zootopia 2. But it is such a welcome and great return. It has all the energy that the original Zootopia had, while the amount of heart and the amount of societal commentary that the original Zootopia did very well with similar and different topics. It just explores those very well. Judy and Nick are both wonderful characters. Again, their growth is very natural in this movie. Jennifer Goodwin and Jason Bateman uh, voiced them wonderfully once again, and Ke Huy Quan uh, was a perfect voice choice for Gary the Snake, or I think it's Gary the Snake, is his official name. Like he's wonderful in the movie, and he makes a wonderful addition. There's a lot of other wonderful characters. I'm just looking at the poster, and like every single character here, Quinta Brunson voices a character. Patrick Warburton plays the new mayor, which is awesome. It's great to see him like back in like the main light after like he very much lives in most Gen Z people's heads, rent free. But yeah, I loved Zootopia too. I will say it is my favorite animated film of last year. Yes, that includes a certain other movie that maybe I'll bring. Well, I have not mentioned K-pop Demon Hunters yet. It is still a very good movie, but I still think Zootopia 2 is my favorite. And there's nothing against K-pop Demon Hunters. That's also a very good movie. I just love Zootopia 2. I loved Zootopia, and I loved Zootopia 2. Some of it's nostalgia, but also some of it is just innate because I just love the world of Zootopia, the way they tell the story in Zootopia. I love Zootopia, and I love Zootopia too. That is very much, it is more of what I wanted. It is what I wanted, and I'm very happy about that. It's a gorgeous movie. The animation is wonderful. So many Easter eggs, so much attention to detail. Like, again, I'm looking forward to rewatching this movie so much. It looked pretty good in 3D actually when I saw it. It's just I love this movie so much. I knew I was like I knew I was like, oh man, yeah. The second I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's getting back in the top 10. Hi Janella, you just we have our first chat, everyone, by my bestie with the festie. I don't know. Janella, obviously she's done a lot for this channel. Love you. And I just got done talking about my number 10 in 10 plus because I also talked about my 11 through 15 and honorable mentions and a special honorable mentions and a lot of rambling before that. But I just got done talking about Zootopia 2 as my 10th movie from 2025. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. Hydrate, folks. All right, let's keep this train running. Hopefully we can pick up the pace a little bit, but I'm also not going to skip out on any of these movies because I love all of these movies that I'm about to talk about and keep talking about. And Janelle, if you want to shout anything out that I don't happen to shout out, feel free. I mentioned that, like, if somehow anyone else joins the chat, feel free to mention movies you loved from last year. Anything that you wish got nominated for an Oscar, what have you. Keep the conversation going, even if it's the comments after the fact. Feel free. But we are moving on to the 9th spot. The 9th spot on this list at number 9. It is If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, which is a wonderful, wonderful title for the record. I heard a lot about this movie from last year's Sundance, I believe, which is always funny how, like, whenever a lot of times, like, I'm talking about, like, my favorite movies from the past year, it's around the same time as, or a little bit after this current year's Sundance. It's all right. Hey, there's so many good movies and shows out there. It's hard to watch everything, so, and not even everything that is an Oscars movie is always going to be one of your favorites. Thankfully, this movie did get Rose Byrne an Oscar nomination, which I was very happy about. But yeah, I was hearing a lot about this from Sundance. I heard, namely, a lot about Rose Byrne and how she is wonderful, Academy Award worthy in this movie. So it's just created a lot of intrigue. I believe it A24. I don't know if they had it at the time or if they acquired it after the fact. It is, I believe, it's directed by Mary Bronstein. I believe this is her second feature debut, but like her other feature from like I remember looking at IMDb before the screening, it was like in the like 2008, 2009. So she hasn't directed a feature in quite a while, and I believe she also wrote the movie. And Josh Safdie also produced. I'm looking at the credits on the poster. Well, that goes to show. Look at your credits, folks. But yeah, it is a very, and I thankfully got the chance to see this movie at the Philadelphia Film Festival with my good friend Lily Fleischer. No stranger to the channel. And yeah, I think seeing this at a film festival crowd versus like if I caught like a screening, because I know this movie had a very limited theatrical release, but then the people that did scout it out, I know anybody that scouted it out like was actively engaged in it. It had high demand in its indie field. But seeing this at a good film festival crowd was really smart because this movie is wild. It is insane. It is definitely dark comedy in a lot of, while also being very intense. Very much an A24 movie. Just has that general feeling and vibe. And I love If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. To talk about what the movie is about a little bit. It's very much a mother who has a sick kid, or like who has a kid with just like a lot of just medical issues that she's having to take care of. The father is still present in the life, but is not currently around. And she's just kind of just taking it all in and is having a very hard time handling it all. And it's about like the intensities of that, both as a mother and just as a person, on how crazy and absurd life is. And it's like, how are we supposed to handle this? And I don't know. It is a wild, intense movie, about a lot of, very interesting capsule of mental health issues in this movie, both good and bad. And ironically, Rose Byrne plays the therapist. And then Conan O'Brien, the host of the Oscars coming up, it actually plays a part in the movie. Yeah, he's great in the movie. As is, I believe, rapper A$AP Rocky, who he's also great in the movie. The kid that plays the daughter, who it's not really much of a spoiler, but you don't really see her face in the movie at all, is great. They don't even give the daughter a name, but namely, like the thing you are going to be talking about if you do see this movie, whether you like it or not, is Rose Byrne is absolutely phenomenal. Oh my God, she gives this character so many layers, like is with this character through, every, range. Yeah, Conan and Rocky are in the movie. They are, yeah, I could not recommend it more. At least to, us film-loving weirdos. Rose Byrne, like, gets so into this character. Like, the madness breaking down. I compared this movie a lot. I saw this before I saw Die My Love, and they actually kind of feel like sibling movies, in a very twisted sense, because they're both very twisted movies, and the journeys that their characters go through, and how the environment in their movies reflect the sanity or lack thereof of the characters. It's just wonderful. And Rose Byrne, God, if it wasn't for another performer that will be mentioned at some point, I would love to see her win Best Actress. She is absolutely. She gives this movie. There are some movies that where it's like they're a great performance, but they can't save the movie. To me, Rose Byrne's performance makes this movie. And it's not that Mary Bronstein doesn't have a great directorial vision. It has a great score. The editing is terrific. It's very interesting, again, course of events, but you are hyper locked onto Rose Byrne's performance. And honestly, that's the main reason I love this movie. Again, very much a dark comedy, so a film festival crowd was digging this, had some very effed up moments. But ones that you can't help but laugh or just go gasp. Even if, you're not laughing, you're having a reaction. This movie, makes so many strong choices. It's very bold. It is very interesting. It's very topical. It's funny. It's relatable, especially if you are a mother struggling, any mother struggling, or any mother, period, or just any human struggling. That's the thing. Even though, I am obviously not a mother, but it is very much it's just a movie about just struggling and just trying to keep it all together. The definition, if this movie was not called If I'd Had Legs, I'd Kick You, I feel like the perfect title would be "This Is Fine," because that meme of "This is fine, everything is fine." That's very much the general attitude of this movie, and that's why it's still one of my favorites of last year. It's still one of the best. Can be a tad one note at points. I'll give it that. It very much harps on a lot of the same points and types of beats, but that doesn't matter. Didn't make it any less entertaining or interesting or enjoyable or wonderful. It is such a great movie. I want to say I don't think it's too long, but it is an intense roller coaster ride of emotions. Um, Fasten your seatbelts. You are in for one hell of a ride with my number 9. If I had legs, I'd kick you. Let us move on to number 8. And I've noticed for a while that there's a certain pattern that has formed with my actual 10. But we will, that'll become increasingly obvious. My number 8 movie, slightly above If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, is Superman, or James Gunn's Superman 2025, however you want to call it. Because the original Superman, because this is not the first Superman movie. It will not be the last Superman movie, but it is the most recent Superman movie by James Gunn, the new co-chief of the DCU, the DC Cinematic Universe, if you will. And I am obviously a huge Marvel fan, but I am basically just as much of a DC fan. Like, the only reason I lean towards Marvel is because, of that guy, and also like but DC and Marvel are basically, to me, like I don't, I think the DC versus Marvel topics can get very petty very quickly, because ultimately, if you're a fan of one superhero from one company, then why wouldn't you be a fan of other superheroes from another company? And Superman is the literal poster child of superheroes, and is one that I very much was happy, so happy, to see that he was getting another movie, that Henry Cavill, no matter how much you enjoyed Man of Steel or Batman vs Superman or the Snyder movies or any DCU movie, Henry Cavill in his run as Superman got done dirty a lot. I would have loved to see, to me, a properly great Superman movie or great movie with Henry Cavill as Superman, even though he was great. But then, given the fact that they were resetting the universe, it's understandable why they would want to recast and wipe the slate clean. And this is also, it's Superman 2025 took on the very difficult task of being a great Superman movie, but and also being very much the start of the universe. And it's not like how Iron Man was back in 2008, where that was Marvel starting the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, Superman taught men it's cool to be nice, which it very much is. And unlike Iron Man, which told a very self-contained story, with no presence of anyone else other than a little bit of Shield, and then obviously the end credit scene where Nick Fury mentions the Avengers. Here, it's a little bit more obvious, the Justice, a version of the Justice Society, but really they call them the Justice Gang in the movie. We have Hawkgirl, we have Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. I did not think that would be a character we would see on the big screen. We have Crypto, we have Mr. Terrific. So many comic book elements, because yes, this is James Gunn, the same guy that made Guardians of the Galaxy. He's the same guy who did such wonderful jobs with his version of the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, even before he took over DC. And I'm not complaining that he started with his own movie. He did such a. I'm doing all this preamble because Superman 2025 is awesome. As a lifelong fan of superheroes and Superman, I still would say I love Batman. I guess I love Batman slightly more, but do I not love Superman? Absolutely. I love Superman as a character. I love the original Christopher Reeve Superman, and Superman 2 as well. And I love the positivity that Superman infuses, Like, I don't care that Superman's powers are boring. I don't care that his weakness is just a green rock. Superman can still be interesting about just being kind and being generous. And as you said, Janella, Superman taught men that it's cool to be nice. And this was a movie that was very going to be about Superman's innate positivity. Amongst many other things, Crypto is in the movie for any. I can't believe we got a live action cinematic version of Crypto, and he is a menace, and I love him. And he was all over the marketing, as he should have been. This movie is great. Like it's very much James Gunn's Superman movie. You can feel that in its bones. It was a very interesting choice. Like, would James Gunn have been my first, like, outside of him running the DCU, the DCU, excuse me, would he have been my first choice to make a new Superman movie? I don't know, but he also just has a great understanding of comic book storytelling and superheroes, so, and the mythology behind it. And as the kids like to say, he understood the assignment. Okay, this movie it's bright, it's bold, it's colorful, it's unabashedly a comic book movie. It is very much the most comic book Superman movie out there. Like, he goes near black holes, he fights kaiju, he works with Green Lantern and Hawk Girls, Crypto, causes chaos. Like, Lex Luthor is just being Lex Luthor, which to just get into the actors, the cast in this movie is wonderful. David Cornsweet is such a wonderful Superman. He understands that, at the end of the day, like, Superman, like, even if he's just, even if he's the most powerful being on the planet, he is human, and he is all about kindness and just doing the right thing. Rachel Brosnan, I think it's Brosnan. Oh God, correct me in the comments or somewhere. Is wonderful as Lois Lane. They have terrific chemistry. And the scene that, like, the scene that, like, featured in one of the trailers, that you don't even realize in the context of the movie, it's a 12 to 15 minute scene of the, like, something kind of an homage to the original interview scene from the original Superman, but just very different. And it's just, I love just, like, seeing, like, they're both different perspectives, and I love their chemistry, the way they bounce off each other. And on a drastically different note, I love Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Holy shit. I mean, he's awesome as Lex Luthor. He, like, I think a lot of times with the, especially with the Gene Hackman version, he doesn't always, like, have that Lex Luthor, like, menace, but also, like, the brilliance and the, it's like this version of Lex Luthor, he can get a little silly, And again, this movie is not afraid to be silly while also taking its subject matter and its characters and its world very serious. Even if it is a movie about hope and optimism and brightness and looking up, as the poster so beautifully has the tagline for. Like his hatred for Superman is so pronounced. He gives this character so many layers, like, while also, like, making him, like, very quirky and very much his own version of Lex Luthor, having a very interesting play and dynamics. This is a James Gunn movie, so this movie is also like as fun and referential. And yes, you get some licensed, needle drop tracks in there too, but very much this movie is also insanely 1A. Yes, 1A is. This movie got a lot of great memes out of it. It is also incredibly topical, both in its hopes for hope and for being good and for being optimistic. But it is a very political movie, which, the woke, anti-woke crowd, they shunned it for, calling Superman an immigrant, which he is. He is from another planet. They probably didn't like the subject matter and the people that the movie was mean to, because it probably was really like them. The Lex Luthors of the worlds, the Prime Minister or Baravia or something like that. I forget what his character name was called. He's also, that actor is also in Wonder Man. He's great. Um, but yeah, I love this movie. It is, again, unabashedly a comic book movie. It is so much fun. It does such a good job at embodying everything that is Superman, without just being the Christopher Reeve uh, movies, and while also paying a lot of homage to it. Christopher Reeve's son is in the movie. The score and the themes are basically. Uh, um, I love how subtle they did it. Like, it was obvious what they were talking about, but it made sense with the plot, if you know what I mean. Oh yeah. Yes. Is there a lot going on with? Is there a lot going on in this movie? And I think that's maybe for some people that even are Superman fans, like turn them off. Like, yes, there's a lot going on in a very comic booky sense. Sometimes it's a little bit too much, and yes, I guess it's why it's like maybe number 8 versus number 3, on this list. But like, yeah, but it also does it well. I love every single like subtopic and subgroup of characters in this movie. I love the Justice Gang. Mr. Terrific is obviously a standout. Um, uh, and then, again, Crypto is adorable. Skylar Gisondo is such good casting for God. No. Oh, I can't forget his name. Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen. Wonderful. Again, this movie's funny. It's heartfelt. It's action packed. It's everything I would love in a modern interpretation of Superman. I am very excited for, I guess, the next Kryptonian featured movie with Supergirl, although it's obviously not James Gunn directing, but obviously he has a lot of creative say since he's the Kevin Feige-esque equivalent of the company, even though he said himself he doesn't always do Kevin's job, and Kevin Feige is not the director. He brings on other directors, whereas James Gunn knows how to direct and does it very well. It's a very fun movie. The score does, like, for a score that I would have loved for this movie to have an original theme, but it does very good, has a very good score from borrowing the cores of the John Williams theme. Because if they're not going to, because when I saw the composers in this movie, I was like, okay, if you're not going to create your own great memorable theme, at least borrow from John Williams, which they did. So they answered that. And yeah, it's just so much fun. Is it my favorite James Gunn comic book movie? That's hard to say because he's done a lot of them. But I love Superman. I love Superman as a character, and I love 2025 Superman. I'm very much looking forward to Supergirl, and I'm obviously looking forward to Man of Tomorrow. I cannot wait for that. But that is why Superman was my 8th favorite, best movie of 2025. I thought it was great. Should have gotten a visual effects nomination. What the hell was Jurassic World doing there? Let's just move on to number 7. Again, there's a distinct pattern here. We're going from the big blockbuster, Superman that made so many people happy, to a very, very small movie that I definitely don't know a ton of people that saw. But my number 7 is The Wedding Banquet, which I also did not realize it was a film that is a remake of an Ang Lee film from the 90s. And it is very much a case of, because I suspect probably not a lot of people have heard of this movie, at least unless you really, keep up with everything. But this was another one that I actually heard quite a lot about Sundance, from Sundance. I knew Bowen Yang was in it, that it was a gay rom-com essentially. But I really didn't know a ton going in. I knew the basic beats of the premise, but I didn't know a ton going in other than hearing that it was great. And yeah, it is such a delightful movie. It is wonderful. I saw it a couple weeks after a very other notable movie from April. Did not see it with a ton of people in the theater, but I didn't care. I was having a good time. The basic premise, for anyone watching who has not heard, is basically it's like we have Bowen Yang and we have Hang Ji-chan and then on the opposite side we have Lily Gladstone and Kelly Marie-Tran, two gay couples. Are all great friends. They basically all live together. But Hang Ji-chan's character is a Korean immigrant. He is, and I believe is partially connected to his family's company, and if he doesn't want to keep moving forward or go back to Korea, he's going to lose his green card soon. So the premise is, like, okay, well, I know a way to stay in the States and still get some support in the family. He goes, okay, I'm not going to marry, the guy I'm actually in a relationship with. I'm going to ask, Kelly Marie Tran's character if they to have basically a green card wedding that brings Young Jug Young into the States. And then rom-com nature's ensumed, and it is great. This movie is lovely. It is so wonderful. It is obviously very funny. I know the one clip I was saying is like, we need to de-queer the house. That scene is awesome, and the movie is very funny. Obviously, with Bo and Yang, and just like they have a very comfortable. Everyone has wonderful chemistry with each other, and the different character interactions. Really, I think the heart of this movie, and not to spoil like too much, but really because it is very much an ensemble movie. But Kelly Marie Tran, I feel like, is personally the heart of this movie. She is wonderful. I liked her as Rose. And yes, she's also great in Riot and the Last Dragon. Rose from The Last Jedi, obviously. But she has so much heart. Lily Gladstone is obviously great. Bo and Yang, this is very much, yes, this movie is still a rom-com, but also, like, I guess it's a rom-com, and you still definitely have a lot of moments where you're laughing from the characters interacting, at least assuming it was funny for you, which comedy is very subjective. But like, you're going to be laughing, but then you're also this movie has an insane amount of heart. It has it loves and cares about every single one of its characters, and their inner relationships with each others, and the struggles of queer relationships with race, with like modern societal norms, with gender norms, with immigrant norms, like, and queerness. Again, this is obviously a very gay movie. It's a movie about gay love. But it also, in the end, is just also a movie about love. And it is just wonderful. It is delightful. It is so funny. It is heartfelt. Andrew Ahn, he co-wrote the screenplay and directed the movie. He did such a great job. It keeps you laughing. It also genuinely got me close to tears at points. Like, some of the scenes are very emotional. Young Jun Yoon is obviously great. I believe Joanne Chen plays the mom of Kelly Marie Tran's character. Han Ji Chan, he's the one whose work I'm the least familiar with, but he is also great in the movie. It's a movie that it's so much color, it has very tranquil moments, very like insane rom-com-y type moments, but it is such a wonderful movie about love, and just it makes you laugh. It has very topical issues. It's a movie that encompasses so much. It's funny. It's heartfelt. It is a great time. The Wedding Banquet is such a wonderful movie. If you have not seen it, could not recommend it more enough. I can't remember if it's streaming anywhere. I will definitely be owning this movie at some point. Is it perfect? No. I do think that some characters could have given that it's a heavy focus on 4 characters, I think out of them, I want to say Lily Gladstone's character, I think gets the least individual time. But that's not to say she isn't wonderful and that they still don't do a great job with her character. This movie's wonderful. Just watch it. It's my 7th favorite movie of the year. Getting ahead of myself. Has it been a while since I've seen it compared to like Superman, or have I rewatched it comparatively like Superman? No. But it's not from lack of interest. It's just from time. I love this movie. Please go check it out. The Wedding Banquet is my number 7 of the movies from 2025. And I'm going to take another sippy sip. And you should be too. God, I'm still not even through the top 5, but that's just how it goes with the way I ramble. All right. And obviously, if anyone watching live can't stay around for the whole time, feel free to check out the VOD later or share it with whoever. Um, but we are getting close to the top five, but we are not quite there. We are just about getting around the corner. Here we come, dun dun dun. Um, and my number six movie, this movie, I'm very happy to talk about. Again, you're probably going to notice the pattern. My number six, at one point, it had a very fitting number placement, which is a slight hint. Dun, 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 dun. Fantastic Four, specifically the Fantastic Four First Steps. Um, I, God, I love this movie. I loved the Fantastic Four so much. Like I tried to not talk about it too much when I was talking about Thunderbolts because it was a pretty good year for Marvel last year. We had Thunderbolts, we had Fantastic Four, we had Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man early in the year, and then Daredevil Born Again as well. Captain America Brave New World obviously was maybe not what a lot of people were expecting, but was it still, I still enjoyed it enough, even though it's not perfect. But the Fantastic Four First Steps is definitely the one I was the most excited for and the most intrigued because even outside of the context of the 20th Disney buying Fox, this is a movie I wanted Marvel Studios to tackle for a group of characters for a long time because I did grow up with the 2000s Fantastic Four movies, but like I was saying earlier about Tron Legacy, your tastes change, and I know those movies definitely do not hold up. They along with everything else Marvel from the 2000s, from the games, the cartoons, everything that Fantastic Four they are Marvel's first family. They are like such crucial characters in Marvel's history. That I remember from seeing the Franken Institute stuff. Like they got Marvel out of a tough time. They are such crucial characters for Marvel, and yet they have not had a consistently great track record on the screen. Again, I have a lot of nostalgia, sure, for the 2000s movies, but are they great movies? Definitely not. Are they even good movies? It's very much like you could say maybe one or the other. Like some people tend to like, but I would generally say no, even if they are maybe enjoyable or there are enjoyable things about them. And then obviously 10 or so years later in 2015, then we had Fan4stick, 20th Century Fox's next attempt to do it. And I'm sure, you've heard about all the different the horror stories on how Fantastic Four got made. It is not, I've still not seen it to this day. But like everyone knows the amount of studio interference that went on with that movie, how just Josh Trank's just like experiences with it. It's just Fan4stick did not hit the mark for anyone hoping for a good Fantastic Four movie, nor did it hit with audiences really either, or the box office. So even before Disney bought Fox, or was even a rumor that they were going to buy Fox, people wanted Marvel to tackle, and even before Marvel, I guess, got out of their golden age, similar to Pixar, to where now people don't trust them sometimes. But when they still can hit, they still can hit. And the Fantastic Four, they knew they could not screw this up when they initially they were going to have John Watts from the recent Spider-Man trilogy come in to do it, and I'm sure he would have done a great job. He dropped out because he felt burnout. So, and they clearly had wanted I don't want to say a safe pick for someone to direct the movie, but they needed someone that they could rely on, someone that has done a good product for them before, and they looked towards WandaVision's Matt Shakman, who did a great job directing that show and had such, given the creative visuals of the show, like, and the fact that they were going with a retro 60s futuristic look for the movie, like it makes sense, like given how like retro WandaVision was. Matt Shakman was the perfect choice of previous Marvel directors to tackle this movie. And yes, it is technically an alternate universe from the main MCU timeline. It is a movie that is unabashedly like a love letter to 60s sci-fi, a love letter to the 60s, which the Fantastic Four came from. This movie is a love letter to the Fantastic Four, period. This movie, it loves the Fantastic Four, and yes, I love the Fantastic Four. I, I love the characters, and I love them in this movie. I love this. I love this movie so much. I love this. I like this was like because I knew I was, and this and Superman came out pretty close together, so I was very excited for both movies. But in my gut, I was like, okay, at the very least, Superman has had great movies. Not in a while, not consistently, but great movies. The Fantastic Four, if we're not counting The Incredibles, which is everyone's favorite unofficial Fantastic Four movie, then yeah, they hadn't had a great track record on the big screen. And we finally got it. We finally got it. Just look at them. Just look at it. Look at them. I first off, the actual cast is the Fantastic Four themselves are wonderful. Vanessa Kirby is phenomenal, outstanding, like awesome-tacular. She is such a good Sue Storm. Joseph Quinn, definitely like a great Johnny Storm. In all the Johnny's in Human Torch ways. God, this is clearly the part where I'm going on long enough and my brain is starting to forget names. The guy from The Bear that played I'm going to forget. The Thing. He is wonderful in this movie. I'm forgetting his name, and I'm gonna be mad if I forget entirely. Fantastic. God, it's gonna bother me. Pardon me, folks, for having an existential. Pedro Pascal, obviously. Even Voss Bacharach, he is awesome as the Thing in this movie. And yes, Pedro Pascal was definitely a very unconventional choice for Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, but like one that where like he proves to me why he is such a great actor and why he is so popular. Um, uh, mine, I missed. Mine. um, uh, uh, yeah. I mean, the four of them are so wonderful. I love the dynamic, the fact that they are already the Fantastic Four, the fact that it's not really a secret at this point to talk about the fact that like Sue is pregnant in the movie. It's one of the movie's biggest things. It is again, it is Marvel's first family. It is a movie about family through the 60s, like the futuristic sci-fi nature of it. Like it just God, I love this movie so much. 6.8 on IMDb, you scum felonies. I I I couldn't disagree with like a rating like that more. I mean, I know some people are just not fans of Marvel, and maybe even if they are for some reason, certain things didn't click with them in this movie. I get it, but I think Matt Shakman did a wonderful job at portraying the world of this movie is off the charts. I really like. I remember seeing a couple people hoping this could get a production design nomination, or if they still had the art direction. Like this movie looks wonderful. Again, the cast is great, and outside of the Fantastic Four, we got Galactus in this movie. I was thinking they were going to save Galactus for Avengers, but no, they still did Galactus for this movie, and Ralph Neeson is awesome as Galactus. I love that they did him well this time, and he wasn't just a cloud. Julia Garner is great as Silver Surfer. Yes, she's a woman playing Silver Surfer. If you cared about that, then I don't want to talk to you. She is so great. Paul Walter Hauser is in this movie. Like Matthew Wood is the voice of Herbie. He's a very great voice actor. The fact that they have Herbie in this movie, the fact that we have the Fantastic Car, we have them like a black hole sequence. First, I think you're the first I heard who raved about it because most people thought it was mid. Like, I know it generally got good reviews. Like, I think it's pretty well reviewed for the most part, but I'm sure like a lot of people talking about Marvel stuff. It's but not as much as I guess I thought it would. Like, Superman was more my fave compared to Fantastic Four, and that's completely fair. And again, I love both of these movies. They're both in my list. And some of it is a lot of the fact that Fantastic Four has definitely not gotten a great movie before. But it is such just even outside of that, it is a great time. I love the characters. I love the story. I love the looming dread of Galactus. While this movie can still have great like camp in it, like it knows it can still be silly with still so much heart. It embraces the the quirkiness of their powers and of the type of stuff that Fantastic Four. They are space explorers. They get their powers in space. Uh, like I don't like. I love the way they did this movie. I love all the characters. I love like for it's I I remember like when I first saw it, like I actually like ended up having a long car ride after the fact, and I was still just and I've had this with so many good Marvel movies over the years where just like I'll just be thinking about it for hours and hours and hours on end. Obviously, like Endgame or No Way Home, No Way Home like shook me to my physical core. And Fantastic Four First Steps might not be quite to that level, but also that's very high bar. And but like I just like and again, it's a lot of it's just the fact that I love these characters. I love Superman as well, but like the Superman's been done well. Like these characters like have never had the love this movie that they've gotten as much with this. God, I love the Fantastic Four First Steps. I know there are naysayers. Although I think it did okay at the box office. I still can't remember if it was technically considered a success or not, even though I think the people that did see it did really enjoy it. At least I think so. At least enough audiences enjoyed it. But like people can generally agree that this is definitely the best Fantastic Four movie. I don't think that's a question. And I think like to me like I think like we're past the point where we have to like label The Incredibles as our favorite Fantastic Four movie. Whether you think The Incredibles is better than this movie, that's up for debate. But like has everything about it. The score, Michael Giacchino's score, like Superman's score was solid. It's good, it's enjoyable, but I wish it was more. It had a stronger voice on its own outside of having to reuse John Williams' score. This movie, Michael Giacchino was such a wonderful choice for it. I mean, he did The Incredibles, and he's done several other great Marvel scores, but he was teasing his score for a year in advance, and oh, I really wish this score got original score nomination. I love the music in this movie so much. There's also a really nice song that plays over the credits, Let Us Be Devoured, that is really nice and really touching. It's sung by the composer of Inside Out 2, actually. But yeah, the Fantastic Four theme is now one of my favorite like superhero movie themes, on top of just being a great score. I mean, like Fantastic Four, like you hear the music and you know what movie it is, or when they tease it in a certain other Marvel project that they accidentally show in the credits before the post-credit scene. That it's like, the dun 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 dun. It's just, I could just talk an hour about the music, but I've already been talking. Like, I feel like it is hard for me to keep my thoughts concise about this movie or precise, because I loved so much about it. Sure, like you could poke holes. Maybe a little bit more time to bend. Maybe they could have gotten a little bit weirder with the stretching for Mr. Fantastic's power, but I still love the way they visualize every other powers. That's the thing. It's all nitpicks. I love this movie. It is fantastic. Say that again? Yes, I had to do it. I love this movie so much. And again, any other year, it would very likely be in my top 5. It was at one point when I first started. I first saw it. I love this, like everything about it. You want to know more of my thoughts? Just ask me individually. About because I could tell you every little this movie just it clicks all my right buttons. I love this movie. That is why the Fantastic Four First Steps is my 6th favorite best movie of 2026 or 2025, excuse me. I saw a glitch on my end. I hope that was just my end and not anyone else's. let's move on, shall we, to that we have finally reached the top five, and hopefully I can at least get this in under 2 hours. Is it possible? I have no idea, because I know how to talk like a mother trucker. That's besides the point. Let's get on to my number five. Again, you've probably noticed the pattern at this point. A lot of big movies, a lot of big franchise IP movies, and then some smaller movies, because I love all kinds of movies, and it really does. It is funny how it being spread out, and sometimes I like just shaping the list so that it like feels like it has a nice flow to it, even though it's like arbitrary. Like I should just go off my gut, even if it like means like Superman, Fantastic Four, and Zootopia were back to back. But no, it's just kind of how it ended up going as well. Um, my fifth, my number five movie is again, it's obviously a much smaller movie. It is Twinless. Um, Another Sundance movie. I wasn't expecting like the smaller movies that I've been mentioning so far to all be Sundance movies from last year. But it's one I heard a lot about from some bands without actually knowing much about it. Like I knew the basic premise and saw the one like still from the movie with Dylan O'Brien wearing like the Sims diamond thing above his head. But that's and the light premise about knowing that it was a movie about like twin, like people that have a support group for people that have lost a twin. Um, like that's really all I knew about this going in. I did not see the trailer, but then I was like, oh, it has a showing, only one showing left. Again, a very small release. I believe it's technically Lionsgate, but really Roadside Attractions did the bulk of the distribution on this. I think Lionsgate was just their parent company or what have you. They helped with the more. That's besides the point. I was like, I got to see this. I've heard great things, and yeah, this movie is wonderful. Twinless is absolutely beautiful. It is funny. It has, I guess, I wasn't again, given the fact that I really didn't know what to expect with this movie. I didn't expect it to be funny, but damn, this movie is funny, but also has an insane amount of heart and is very philosophical. Has such a great story and a great premise. With twists and turns that you really don't expect. That I will definitely not be elaborating, but it is going into it. I didn't realize. So it's like Dylan O'Brien and then James Sweeney are like the two main stars. But I didn't realize until the end that James Sweeney also wrote and directed this movie, and he did both with such beauty and grace, but also with such good humor, such good pacing, such a good vibe. Like this movie has such a really great idea on, and it covers a lot of topics on grief, on love, on just like on wanting to belong and fitting in, and just like it covers so many different thoughts and emotions. It is a really like it has such a strong premise and one that is even stronger with like the hook of the movie that uh like you see like the movie for a certain a little bit and then they start playing the opening credits and I'm like it's like oh wait I thought that was the opening and then you kind of they kind of start to open the box of what's going on in this movie a little bit more. And again, I really don't want to spoil too much about it, but it took me by surprise, and then like it has such wonderful characters. It's so beautifully funny. It's beautiful. It is a very well shot movie. It's very well edited, and there is one scene in this movie that really sticks in my head so well. It is a split screen scene with Dylan O'Brien's character and James Sweeney's character, and given how much this movie has a love for video games, specifically The Sims, but video games in general, the split screen scene like is maybe well I feel like anyone who has watched movies I guess in the 20 like in the last 5 to 10 years has seen something with the split screens, but this is maybe my favorite use I think I've seen anyone do with split screening on film. It is a wonderful sequence that like starts funny and then just like the way it's I really don't want to say even too much there, but like again, it plays into the gaminess of it, of like, it's just, it is such a wonderful movie. It again, it's not a very big movie, but Dylan O'Brien is phenomenal in this movie. Again, you really don't see too much of the twin. This is mainly about the one that lost the twin, but he does play both parts because I don't think he has a real life twin. If he does, then wow, he's keeping that a very good secret. But he is wonderful in this movie. He is having the time of his life. He did a great performance, and albeit a very small performance, in Saturday Night. He's extraordinary in this movie. If he got I believe he won an acting award from Sundance for this movie. James Sweeney, I would hope he got at least a writing nomination or directing or what have you. But yeah, it's winner Dylan O'Brien, like audience award at Sundance as well. Yeah, it is just a wonderful movie. Has an insanely great premise. It's beautifully shot. It's beautifully edited. Has wonderful music. Has a great premise. Like, it is wholly original, while also just feeling just like anyone can relate to it. Like, I don't have a twin, but I found moments in this movie very relatable. On wanting to belong, on missing another half, whether that is your soulmate, whether that is your twin, whether your twin is your soulmate. It's just like, it touches on so many wonderful themes. Again, it's funny, it's heartfelt, it's surprising. It is twinless, and it is my 5th favorite movie of 2025. It's definitely a little bit easier to talk a little bit less about something that I've not something that's original that I haven't been thinking about the movie for 5 years, like Fantastic Four or what have you. But let us move on to 4. Yes, at one point Fantastic Four was my number 4. That would have been very fitting. But the cookie crumbles. Here we are. And the pattern. My 4th favorite movie of 2025 is Wake Up Dead Man. Or Wake Up Dead Man, Knives Out Mystery, but I just call it Wake Up Dead Man. I don't know anybody that actually calls it a Knives Out Mystery. It's a dumb... I'm hearing some storming going on out there. Sorry about that. But yes, it is the latest Knives Out movie from Rian Johnson and Daniel Craig. And obviously, if I had ever done a top 10 for 2022, I definitely would have addressed how much I loved the original Knives Out and how much I adored Glass Onion as well. I was lucky enough to... I didn't have tickets going into it, but I was able to get in through the rush line at the Philadelphia Film Festival. Oh, your house rumbled. Oh, that's lovely. Whether for you, Genoa, or anyone else watching live in the Philadelphia area, stay safe. And hopefully, if for anyone watching it post, stay safe as well. But yeah, it's and thank you for keeping me company in the chat, Genoa. Yeah, that's besides the point. Let's get back to Wake Up Dead Man. God, I love these movies. I loved Knives Out. I knew I was gonna love Knives Out from how much I loved The Last Jedi. Yes, I said it. You annoying Star Wars fans, you make me feel so guilty about my opinion. But I love The Last Jedi, and I love what Rian Johnson did with that. And I loved what he did with Knives Out. I guess I haven't read a lot of murder mysteries, but everyone has experienced a murder mystery story at some point, whether it's in their favorite show or their favorite show is a murder mystery. Everyone knows the classic beats of that. And the Knives Out movies have such a great job at subverting those expectations while also honoring them and loving to them. They're as funny as they are dramatic and suspenseful. Watched Star Wars for the first time with boyfriend. It was good. Yay! Janelle's hooked onto Star Wars now. That's besides the point. Getting back to Wake Up Dead Man. I mean, I tried, but I was unfortunately not able to see the Philadelphia Film Festival screening of this. And keep in mind, the first time I got in, it was I got in through the rush line. I was with a friend. Rian Johnson was there, and I was insanely excited for Glass Onion. And I still, to this day, love Glass Onion. It flip-flops every other day for me as being my favorite of that year between that or Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah, it's that good that it is a contender with everything everywhere all at once for me. And the second I knew, I mean, from the get go, we knew they were gonna, Netflix, got two movies out of it, and we knew that we were getting another one. I was like, okay, I want to see it at the festival, but wasn't able to do that. Let's hope that we can get a good theatrical release, and kind of, at least I still saw it in the theater. It was a little bit hard. Netflix are still stubborn assholes about the theatrical release. I will get off my soapbox about that, but like I got to see it in a theater with my family. And it's like I knew from the get go, like it got great reviews again. Like I was not worried about the quality of this movie. And nor was I disappointed. Wake Up Dead Man is another excellent, wonderful Knives Out movie. Definitely has a dark gothic leaning edge, at least in terms of like its visuals and its subject matter, especially given the fact that it's very religious centric, so which makes sense on why it's so gothic. It is a movie about religion. I mean, Wake Up Dead Man, I mean, it's in the title, it's about a lot of religious themes, whereas like, so we knew that was the focus going in, and it has such a great perspective on that. On both the good and the bad with the religion, and it does such a great job with that. Per usual, Daniel Craig is so wonderful as Benoit Blanc. Like I don't, I don't know why Benoit Blanc wanted to grow his hair out, but he did, and it is a vibe. It's like, oh, hello, it's Olivia. Hi, Olivia. Welcome to the chat. Thank you, Olivia. The VOD for this should be up after the fact if you want to catch up. We are currently on my number 4 movie of 2025, which is Wake Up Dead Man, and the latest Knives Out movie. And I just, I love this movie. I love this movie so much. Per usual, the cast is wonderful. Yeah, you know what's up. And I don't think it's like too. I think with Glass Onion, it was a little bit of a hidden secret who the real protagonist is. So if did BF stop streaming? Did I stop streaming? I think, or are you referring to someone else? Okay. I gotcha. Yeah. You guys have your own dialogue in the chat. God, I can't wait to have days where I just refer to chat and it's more than just two people that I'm very well familiar with. I love you guys. And that'll be the day. It was like, hey, chat. Yeah. God, that'll be the day when I can finally have like stop reminiscing about the future that hasn't happened yet. Anxiety. Yes, Wake Up Dead Man is. God, I'm just keep reiterating the same points. Rian Johnson does another excellent job. He did the script for this movie is wonderful. I want a screenplay book. We are most definitely strangers. Shh. You are chat. You are strangers. Okay, my mistake. Just ignore the fact that I was referring to them by name earlier. Just ignore that completely. Yeah, I want a screenplay book of every single Knives Out movies. I would love to just because the thing is that they're like almost intentionally, given the fact that they are whodunits and murder mysteries, that I want to explore these movies, ideally, you can get enough out of one viewing, but then these movies get even better and better with repeated viewings, picking up on all the details, things you never missed before, whether that's crucial to the plot or just a funny gag. And reading the screenplay, I want to do that so badly. And just, and reading all the voices of these characters on the page, and these voices are very well defined by their performers. Has had another great cast across the board. Josh O'Connor, I think it's generally people kind of knew going in. He's definitely one of the leads of this movie. And he's fantastic. I mean, he's obviously great in Challengers, and Challengers, like can have funny moments, but it's not a comedy. But this movie's still like, I mean, Knives Out movies very much like ride the line between comedy and drama. Uh, uh, but yeah, it's fit. Uh, and he does such a great job with both parts of it. Glenn Close is also wonderful in this movie. Josh Brolin, Thanos himself. He had a pretty good run last year, if I'm not mistaken. He's great in this movie. You have Jeremy Renner making himself canon in this universe after a form of a cameo in Glass Onion. Mila Kunis is awesome. I'm a sucker for Kaylee Spaney. I love of her. And Thomas Hayden Church is in this movie. Noah Segan makes another cameo. He was in the first two movies as well. Uh, the cast is great. The dynamic is between Josh O'Connor and Benoit Blanc is really what keeps you going. It definitely has a more traditional narrative structure than Glass Onion, which, without saying too much about the actual context of Glass Onion, is that it is very much a midpoint plot twist movie and a midpoint a movie of two halves, whereas this movie has a more traditional structure, a more traditional narrative, and following the murder mystery. Again, it's very gothic. The visuals, Steve Yedlin's cinematography. I think this may be the best shot Knives Out movie. There was one sequence that I've seen a lot of people point out on socials, of like where the lighting changes from all the clouds and whatnot, and it is both. It's a scene that starts layers and gets very serious, and it is wonderful. The cinematography in this movie should have gotten an Oscar nomination. This movie, I think, unfortunately, did everything right with the campaigning, but I guess just because it's not the first Knives Out sequel anymore, nor is it Netflix's only contender, it did not get a screenplay nomination this time around, but to me, that's okay, as long as eventually Rian Johnson keeps making these movies, but even if he doesn't, I love them all so much. I just love what these movies are. They click all the right boxes. I love like looking through, combing all the details while also enjoying it on a whole. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it has a lot of very topical conversations. I know for a lot of people this is their favorite Knives Out movie. And I suppose technically it's my least favorite at the moment, but least favorite of three wonderful, wonderful movies that I adore. I suppose not equally, but pretty close, pretty damn close. Like, to me, these movies are absolute comfort movies. I adore them so much. Oh, you haven't seen it yet. Oh, I really don't want to spoil too much. Yes, and obviously it's a whodunit, so I wasn't not gonna. If I was gonna go into spoilers, I would do that in a separate video. I've been trying to dance around spoilers most of the time, so hopefully you guys have all been good with that. But yeah, these movies are, along with Marvel and Disney movies, or Disney or animation. This Wake Up Dead Man is absolutely a comfort movie. I've seen it twice. I can't wait to watch it again and again and again over the last couple of years, or over the next couple of years, I should say. I love this movie so much, and there is a very good, and even though it is, you know, uh, maybe it didn't make as much of a splash as Glass Onion, or but then people also didn't love Glass Onion as much. Like I don't know. That's the thing. I love all of them pretty equally. Everyone's opinions vary. I know some people like Glass Onion more. Some people stick to the original. Some people will love this movie the most. And that's one of the wonderful things about movies discussions in general. So, yay. Wake Up Dead Man. Absolute comfort food. Absolutely deserving of being one of the best movies of the year. Is my number 4 for damn good reason. Let us move on. We are finally at the top 3. The movies you put a gun to my head and you say, if you could only watch 3 movies from 2025 for the rest of your life, is like, I am Spider-Man. Yes, I thought you already knew this. Like, even though you guys are strangers, I've never met you. I thought this was, common knowledge. Anyway, so yes, if there were 3 movies that someone put a gun to my head, I could only keep 3 movies from 2025. The rest are gone. And 3 favorites at least, not like in terms of like most artistically interesting or societally important or whatever. whatever mumbo jumbo. But these movies are like the ones that I cherish the most. Um, yes, that's it. Yeah, the suit. That's what you're pointing out. Yeah, it's hanging over the door. You gotta have it on standby. Um, but if there are three movies that defined 2025 for me, they are these three movies. And this one was very honestly close. It was number two at one point. I even floated putting it at number one, and upon further rewatches, it could very well change. Um, my number three movie of 2025 is, I don't really have a good musical cue in with this, Hamnet. Um, it is Chloe Zhao's latest. I adore Chloe Zhao as a filmmaker. I love Nomadland. I love The Rider. I saw that several times in film school. It's like several times in film school. Uh, and I generally actually do like Shakespearean stories. Uh, like uh, like I think like kind of like in high school or like even early college, like I kind of just like thought I wasn't sure if I thought Shakespeare was overrated, but like everybody talks about Shakespeare, and it's very obvious and easy to talk about Shakespeare and why Shakespeare is so great. But then I think the thing is when you actually uh, uh, when you actually like explore Shakespearean stories and just like I just think there's just a lot of interesting like ideas and the way and timing of it. There's a lot to talk about with Shakespeare, but really this is not a movie about Shakespeare. It is a movie about love. It is a movie about family. It is a movie about loss, but it is a movie about uh, taking said loss and trying to maybe not make something beautiful out of it, but like cope with it in ways that only one could understand through the powers of storytelling. It's no secret. This movie is based on a book, and it's slightly historical fiction, from what I understand. Where from what I looked up after the fact, this what actually happened is that Shakespeare and this Agnes or Agnes or they were married and they had a son that died, and his name was Hamnet. Uh, that is all we know. And at least I'm pretty sure we knew that his name was Hamnet. All we know is that they had a son that was died, but then the other historical details are, I'm pretty sure, the author of the book, Maggio Farrell, I think, probably the better way to pronounce it, who did also co-write the movie with Chloe Zhao, um, uh, filled in a lot of the details. Yes, it is a movie where it's, and it's not like they showed it in the trailers, but it's like it's part of the premise. It is a movie where Agnes, I believe that's how they pronounce it in a movie, and Shakespeare, one of their kids dies, and that kid dying leads to the inspiration behind it leads to him inspiring Shakespeare to write Hamlet, which obviously Hamlet, obviously very similar, names and titles, but this is obviously not the same story as Hamlet. This is a movie where if you removed Shakespeare's name from the movie, and really you don't even hear it too much in the movie, like you don't need to be a fan of Shakespeare to love this movie. You don't need to be a fan of like I'm sure some people going in could see this as an artsy fartsy movie, and to some extent, it's a Chloe Zhao film. It's focus features. It is produced by Steven Spielberg and Sam Mendes. They are no strangers to the Oscars. So, but then also, like, apparently Spielberg or Sam Mendes, they both had wanted to make this movie themselves at one point, but then scheduling or life happened. It's a Amblin production. Then Chloe Zhao stepped in. And if you've seen Nomadland or The Rider, I'm not including Eternals because Eternals is very separate in Chloe Zhao's filmography, even though it has her stamp on it. And yes, I still enjoyed Eternals. But outside of Eternals, it's Chloe Zhao's most narrative film, or traditional narrative by far, but still has Chloe Zhao's, you could still feel Chloe Zhao's bones and DNA throughout this entire movie. It is, again, a movie about love. Chloe Zhao has such love and wonder for her characters, especially nature, and the way that they integrate that with the characters and with the This movie is beautifully shot. Um, and and as I mentioned, probably with sentimental value in Pixar, I'm a very sappy and sentimental fella. Uh, and everything I was hearing about this movie obviously won the People's Choice at this year's Toronto International Film Festival. It's obviously gotten a lot of Oscar nominations, and Jessie Buckley's probably going to win. Um, but even outside of that, I was like, okay, I'm hearing this movie's going to be emotional, and sometimes there are going to be movies that are like, it feels like they're trying too hard, and I've like even sometimes gone like, okay, I know it's trying to make me feel something, but it's just not working. That always happens. It's natural. It's innate. Um, Not this one though. This movie, oh my God, like it's. I don't know if I've talked to anyone that hasn't like about Hamnet that hasn't bawled their eyes out. I mean, it is again, it is a movie about tragedy. It is a movie about loss, but it is also a movie just as much about love. And the way they portray that with the story, with the characters, every choice is wonderful. I love the production design in this movie and how it feels. It feels like every set could be a stage, yet they still navigate it very well. And it also has a very good, again, it's a Chloe Zhao film and it has such a beautiful touch with nature. I mean, again, most of this poster is green. The costumes are wonderful. Obviously, it's a period piece, but yes, it is a lot of the performances that make up the work. I would have loved to see Paul Mescal get a nomination. He genuinely is. Sorry, I got my chair stuck on the thingy. Paul Mescal is wonderful in this movie. I would love to see him get a nomination. Not that the other nominees weren't deserving, but he is wonderful in this movie, portraying like just a man who just has his struggles and is a storyteller, but has love for his wife, or for his soon to be. Like you see these characters throughout so many different portrayals of the story, and it's just it rips your heart out, not just because of what happens, but because of how much you feel connected to every single person in the room. And yes, oh my God, Jessie Buckley in this movie. I've loved her for years. I remember hearing about her from Wild Rose. She's great in the Judy Garland film. She's great, and I'm thinking of Ending Things. Like she is always next level amazing, and finally she's going to get rewarded for it because I don't see how she's not winning the Oscar for this. Because it's like, yes, like to me, I'm very close between like her and Rose Byrne who are my favorite performances of last year, and both female and female lead, and in general, and just yeah, the work is there. The emotions she pours into this performance are next level. What's asked of her are extraordinary. What's asked of everyone, including the kid that plays Hamnet himself and the siblings. And the kid that plays Hamnet is Jacob E. Jupe, who is brothers of fellow child actor Noah Jupe from the Quiet Place movies and Honey Boy and so many other things. And this isn't really a spoiler. Like the fact that that's another. I can't remember, did this movie get a Best Casting nomination? If it didn't, it should have, because casting like Jacob E. Jupe as Hamnet himself, the title character, and then having Noah Jupe actually play in the stage production of Hamlet in the context of the movie Hamlet, that's such a wonderful idea for casting. Yeah, maybe there's it gets a little. I mean, again, you kind of know the structure of the movie going in. It's not going to lead with the events, but it's structurally sound. It's maybe there's slight things that this movie's so close for me to getting a 10. But even outside of that, it is just such a wonderful movie. I cried. I laughed a little bit, but I namely cried, but good cry. It just felt so healthy and just reminded me of all the people I've loved and lost over the years, family and otherwise. And it's just such a wonderful movie. It's hard to say too much more that hasn't already been said a million times, but yes, Hamnet is plenty deserving of all the acclaim it's gotten. There's a reason it's my third favorite movie of the year. Yeah, If you haven't seen it, watch it. Uh, you got to make sure you got these guys nearby because you're going to be needing them. Uh, although it's also uh, a movie I know I will be rewatching, even though it is emotionally devastating, but for good reason. And it's also just again, I grew up on Pixar. I'm a sucker for emotional devastation. Hamnet is another wonderful Chloe Zhao film. It's my third favorite movie of 2025, and that is saying a lot. It was a great, great year for movies, and the fact that, again, any other year could have been number one, and I would not have complained. But my number two movie, we're kind of breaking the pattern of IP movie, albeit this movie was very big. It still is very big, um, and it was my first number one of 2022. We're on to the last two, folks. It's a movie let's just get to it. My number two, Sinners. It's hard to say what I've already talked about Sinners a lot on the Oscars videos. It's hard to say what I can talk about with Sinners that hasn't already been talked about. That I love Ryan Coogler's previous works. I still need to see Fruitvale Station, but I love Creed. I love Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. And the second, like I knew he was making another movie, sold. It's just, which is ironic because then like on paper I was like hooked. Like I knew it was going to be Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler again. Never going to complain about that. Knew it was going to be a vampire movie, which was very intriguing. That there was a bidding war for it, and Warner Brothers, they got it, and they still proved that they can still support original stories. Like, why do you feel the need to be sold? Oh, did you finally see Sinners, Janelle? I can't remember. I'm sorry, Stranger. Um, uh, uh, but yeah. I mean, the irony is that I was so excited for this movie on paper, but then for some reason the marketing actually just wasn't clicking with me. Like I thought the first trailer, the teaser was okay. Like yeah, there you go. Um, Glad you've seen it. Um, but yeah, it's like for some reason the marketing just wasn't clicking with me. Um, uh, clips a little clips here and there. Yeah, I know I can. I'm a loud fella. Sorry if it gets too loud at any point. Uh, oh, oh, okay. Oh, you're talking about clips from the movie. Oh yeah, yeah. Obviously, if you can, uh, yeah. The marketing of this movie was definitely like it sold the movie on what it was about. But it just wasn't clicking with me. I don't know why. Like like it like I really don't know what it is, and it's like I had all the faith because it was still Ryan Coogler, but then I was hearing like when it finally got to the point of release and it was getting like wildly positive reviews, people saying it's Ryan Coogler's masterpiece, which is saying something because it's Ryan freaking Coogler. He's one of my favorite directors working today. I was like, oh, okay. And him talking so much about the formats of the film. I mean, I have a fun story that I will tell uh, off camera of with this movie. But you know, put that in a pin for anyone who I haven't told too. Uh, like this movie was going to be both in 70 millimeter and IMAX. Took advantage of like really wide, ultra wide 70 millimeter and IMAX, like which is a very unique combo. Like, so I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll see this in IMAX. I'm looking forward to it, even though the marketing wasn't sold, uh, wasn't selling me. I was like, yeah, I didn't need it to though, because it's Ryan Coogler, and I mean Ryan Coogler's name got me in, but yeah, holy shit! Like you see Sinners and you go, damn, like from it is very much a slow burn. Like because it's very much a movie about two halves. Um, but and I was like, it's like okay with the first half, like okay, like yes, sometimes it's and I think it's just the thing with any period piece movie, with a lot of dialects that's just like, oh, sometimes it can be hard to tell what they're saying, but that's not the movie's fault. That's just us in the 21st century not being used to hearing X dialect that or what have you. But I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. And then the second half came around, and I was like, oh, the I lied to you scene. Oh, so that's like one of the best scenes ever. Yeah, this movie is amazing and it's remarkable. And like, wow, it is really game changing for the genre. Like, yes, it is horror. But I feel like it's the way I feel like I'll describe it for a lot of people is that it's horror in the same way that Jaws is horror. That it is definitely horror about horror themes, about horror topics, fear, innately what makes us afraid. But also like, it's not like, at least for me, having now like gotten used to horror enough over the years, scary enough that like obviously don't show a 5-year-old this movie, but like a 10-year-old, like well, okay, there is some other scrutinous stuff that maybe you shouldn't show a 10-year-old, but for people that are like, I'm not too big into horror, but I can handle it a little bit, like then you could definitely handle Sinners, and you definitely should, because Sinners, remarkable. I mean, Ryan Coogler, oh my God, the way he directs this movie. I mean, I've been mentioning him a million times. Yes, the movie in IMAX, if you, I'm sure it'll get re-released in IMAX and in theaters over the years. It is wonderful in IMAX. I made sure to see it twice in IMAX. Same with a couple other movies on this list, but more than anything, this is maybe one of the most, to me, groundbreaking movies I've ever seen take advantage of. Yeah, it is definitely 16 plus, given so not even the blood and the horror aspects, but other aspects are a little bit mature. Yeah, it's like this is one of the best movies I've ever seen in IMAX. But even if you don't get to see it in IMAX, this movie is gorgeous. I believe on home, like on VOD and on streaming, they still have the different IMAX. The aspect ratio changes from IMAX to ultra wide, and it's just extraordinary. I hope Autumn Durald Akbar, I believe, is the name of the cinematographer. Just did it, shot it. So like this movie is so much of a chef's kiss with the cinematography. The sound is off the board. I Lied to You is such a wonderful song. If it wasn't for K-pop Demon Hunters, I think it would be a shoo-in to win at the Oscars. And I'm not going to get, for the record, I'm not complaining Golden's going to win. I'm just saying I Lied to You broke my mind. It is the scene itself and the story is wonderful. It has such a great unique take on a vampire story. Like I guess I haven't seen like that many vampire stories in the grand scheme when I really thought about it, especially because like one of the only things I took from the movie is that's like this movie very much expects you to know. Yes, K-pop Demon Hunters mentioned. This movie expects you to know the rules of vampires, and some of them I just flat out forgot, and it kind of expects you to know some of those, but even that's still like a minor note, because like God, I love this movie so much. Like, oh man, it's like the ensemble cast won the SAG award for the reason it's extraordinary. Like, the only reason I don't know if Michael B. Jordan should have been in a lead actor nomination is because I think Miles Caton is the real lead in this movie, and he is such a wonderful actor and discovery in this movie. Obviously, Delroy Lindo is great. Michael B. Jordan in both roles. Obviously, he's playing twins here, and he does wonderful work with both sides of it. Haley Steinfeld, anyone who knows me knows I have a soft spot for her. She is wonderful in this movie. Wunmi Musaku from Loki and countless other things, but Loki's what I know her from. She's excellent in this movie. And there's so many other casts. Jack O'Connell as the lead, I guess the primary antagonist of the movie, although more just the idea of vampires. And there's more than, even though vampires are obviously the main threat in this movie, there's a lot more antagonistic threats. The social commentary on this movie is brilliant, which is no surprise given Ryan Coogler's experience with that. It's fun, it's horrifying, I don't know what else I can say about Sinners that hasn't been said a million times. Ludwig Göransson did a wonderful, wonderful job in the score. Like, Ruthie Carter did the costumes. They're wonderful. Sinners is Sinners. Sinners is wonderful. I Like I have the Blu-ray 4K coming in a week. I would have loved to get the steelbook for this movie because this movie is like the second you see this movie, and well, granted, like if you didn't click with Sinners, that's okay too, or you thought Sinners was good but not great, or you didn't think it was actually that great, all the power to you. But for me and so many other people, the reason I still think is going to win Best Picture, it's one of those movies that you see and you go, that's an instant classic. It's a reason. It's it's only for one other movie that like Sinners is not my number one, and I don't even know if it's my number one Ryan Coogler movie because he does such phenomenal work. Like every time he makes a movie, I just want to see him make a million movies. He has such like God. I love this movie, and also they talked a lot about their love of Chadwick Boseman in the making of this movie. God, it's just oh, so good. Sinners is just, again, like art, entertainment. Such a beautiful mix of the two. It's iconic. It is meme-worthy. It is art. It is stunning. It is Sinners. There's nothing else that is like it. Except for From Dusk Till Dawn, which I've heard it actually has a lot of similarities to. But I have not seen From Dusk Till Dawn, and also the thing is, storytelling is innately borrowing from other stories. Even if it's very similar to those movies, I don't think that innately makes Sinners bad. I can't speak for anyone that has seen it, or has seen From Dusk Till Dawn, or going into this movie. But yeah, it's a wonderful film. And then we finally reached my favorite movie of 2025. Like, because at first when I saw Sinners, it's like, ooh, that's gonna be hard to beat. And then I saw this movie, and I've still only had the chance. I've still only seen my number one movie once, because I'm actually bad about watching movies, even though that's what I do for a living. But it is a movie that the second I saw it, it's a much smaller movie, but it is a movie that like clicks all the right boxes for me. It's philosophical, it's existential, it's emotional, it's quirky. It says a lot without saying much. My number one film, my number one favorite movie, best movie of 2025 is a little movie called The Life of Chuck. Now, for context, if for anybody that kept up, like this movie actually won the same award that Hamnet won this past year, but it released in 2025 because Neon acquired it, and they were like, okay, well, we're going to have it released in 2025. They had Anora that year. I don't blame them. And a lot of other great movies. Neon always knows how to do well with the awards campaign. But then, for some odd reason, they released this movie during the summer. And that's not always a bad thing. Summer movies can still make it into the Best Picture race. Obviously, F1 released during the summer. Sinners was April. That's the thing. I think they could have still did something with a summer release date for an Oscar-y type movie, but they did kind of drop the ball. Because this movie should have gotten as many nominations as Hamnet, as Sinners, at least a screenplay nomination. But it didn't, which is a shame. But if you see this movie, you will understand like why it is like a worthy movie. I mean, the way Life of Chuck is just a very special movie. Like, I was already looking forward to it anyway. It's Mike Flanagan, who horror fans are no stranger to, but this is not a horror movie, despite the fact that it is also another Mike Flanagan Stephen King adaptation. But it's not a Stephen King horror story. It is very much not that. It is a much more, I don't want to say meaningful, to not say that his horror stories aren't meaningful, but it's just a story about life. Life is in the title of this movie, and it's just, it has a very untraditional narrative. I didn't know the structure of this movie going in, but then like it hits you very quickly. And you're like, oh, we're doing that type of thing? That's interesting. And as you explore, it's basically a movie. What I will say is that it's divided into 3 different segments. And I and from the first one, it has a wonderful ensemble cast. For the record, I really wish this movie got a an ensemble award at the Actors Awards or casting, because because from the first act that you watch, it is extraordinary. Like it is contemplating very meaningful subject matter with a beautiful lens. This movie is very beautiful. It's has very touching, strong pacing, uh, and also and wonderful acting across the board. Like I thought like when I saw like Matthew Lillard is in this film. This movie has a stacked cast. Like like just on the poster it says Tom Hiddleston, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Karen Gillan, Jacob Tremblay. He would think it's the youngest version of Chuck, but he's not, and that makes me feel gross that Jacob Tremblay is actually kind of grown up now. That just makes me existential. But that's besides the point. And then Mark Hamill. But then there's so many others. You know, we have Matthew Lillard. We have Carl Lumbly. We have, I'm forgetting her name, but the person that played, that was from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You know, like she's in this movie. Like this movie has a like wonderful cast. Like and everyone has such a wonderful, beautiful moment. It's a movie a lot about like it is very much a movie that feels like poetry in that it rhymes and it like things come back across the board. Like and McKenna Grace isn't like oh yeah, oh you're just talking about McKenna Grace like also aging up. Like yeah, that's it feels weird, right? But yeah, it's just the cast like Matthew Lillard like has one scene early on that I was like already just from his performance alone. He's not in the movie a lot. Like that's the thing. So many people have like you know it is very much a torch bearing movie. Like everyone gets their own moments. It is just so beautiful. It's that's the word I would describe this movie as. It is beautiful. It is a movie that what the movie is really about is that if you knew you were gonna die, what what do you think your life was, or what would you think of your life? What would you do with your life? And every life, as it says, every life is a universe all its own is the tagline on the poster. You know, I am multitudes. Like this movie is existential, all get out. It's talks about so many different topics, like it, and does so touchingly, so beautifully. Like you know, like I was sitting there and like I was just in awe. You know, the way Mike Flanagan captures the story, the way the actors portray these characters with such love. The Nick Offerman does the narration, and he's such a good narrator. He has such a good voiceover. Oh, you will cry watching this movie, and honestly, but don't let it stop you. It's just like it has such a beautiful structure. Another wonderful musical scene in the movie with Tom Hiddleston. Like, and he's great too. Obviously, he's obviously wonderful. It's just it is a movie that encompasses so much about just. It's just a movie about life, and it captures it so well. I mean, honestly, like it's hard to talk about this movie and all the intricacies as much because, well, A, for one, I just have still so far only seen it once. So I have not had the chance to rewatch this movie yet. And I know I'll get so much out of rewatching this, but it's also just a movie that, like, it's hard to say too much without. It's just a feeling. It is very much just, it's a vibe, as the kids say. It's incredibly powerful. It's very understated, but also not without like being exaggerated in so much right ways. It has definitely some elements of sci-fi or mystique. You know, it's a Stephen King story. It's no shock there. But it's just a beautiful movie. Like you know, about so many different emotions, so many different types of feelings. And I think I was the only person in the theater while watching this. If I wasn't, there was only a couple other people. But I just remember just going, damn. And I was like, and then, like, I kept thinking about it, and I was like, yep, that's my favorite movie of the year. And I was like, you know, who knows what else I'll see that will come close. Hamnet very much comes close in a lot of different ways. So does Sinners, obviously. But this was like the second I was like, I can't. Sure, are there like minor little nitpicks, whatever? Sure, any movie has that. But anytime I give a movie a 10, it's because I think it does everything it sets out to achieve, and it does everything I think, like, nothing takes away from that for me. Um, like it is, again, no movie is perfect in reality, but like it's a, it's very close to a perfect movie. It is such a wonderful movie. Uh, don't let the fact that I think the distribution failed this movie from like because it was going to be a small movie no matter what. But this movie should have been a massive Oscars contender. But I'm not even too upset about that because The Life of Chuck is just such a lovely, lovely, lovely movie. Uh, it's very special. Um, I mean, again, it's hard to talk too much about the specifics, like the performances, the cinematography is great. The editing is very unique and it's fantastic. Um, the score, the Newton brothers did the score, and they always kill it. Um, it's just it's poignant. It's lovely. Um, I mean, I know like when I mentioned like how existential this movie was to like say my mom who doesn't always like is this movie sad, and then I say yes, it's like, well, do I really want to feel sad? But I think it's a movie everyone should see. I know some notable outlet had this as one of their worst movies of the year, and I was like, you know what? Okay, good for you, but I can't understand it. It is still my favorite movie of 2025. I mean, I even know that like the year before, I still don't know what my 2024 favorite movie is because I feel like it's shifted around a lot, especially because some like things I hadn't gotten to rewatching. And yes, I have not gotten the chance to rewatch this movie. Which and I would love to. I just need to get better about rewatching things. I knew this was never going to be something I see too many times in theaters, especially since it had a very limited release. But it's a movie I will cherish for the rest of my life. It just captures all the different aspects of life, and no matter what aspect of life you're going through, even if you're 5, you'll be able to find something to connect to this movie. I mean, really, the only reason a 5-year-old could watch this movie is because they say the F word. Um, I don't think there's anything too explicit outside of that, and it has it is very existential, very mature, while also still knowing that life can be fun. Like, it can be depressing in some instances, but it's also very moving. And that is why uh, it is my favorite movie of 2025. And I think that covers it. I've been rambling for feature length, which I shouldn't be shocked by at this point. I think that's just kind of part of how I roll. I probably should get better about condensing things, but it's just how I go. I hope you enjoyed this stream or this video if you're watching it after the fact. Please feel free to let me know what's your top 10, what's your top 5, what's your top 3, 15, 20, whatever you do. Thank you for the clapping. Please feel free to let me know and yes, I did, as I mentioned, I saw almost 60 movies last year. I still need to see some Oscar movies. Maybe if I saw Frankenstein before this, it would have been on this list, but I didn't want to wait too much longer, especially because Oscar season is already getting pretty close. I've been streaming since around 8:30. Yeah, I've been getting there. Um, yeah, it's so 2025 was another great year for movies. I knew I couldn't miss out talking about it. And I've thought about at a couple points going back and addressing top 10s of years I haven't gotten to do. Touching back on 2023 or 2022, which I never 2023 I at least shot a video for, but I never got to publishing it. But this is I would love to talk about my favorite movies from the last couple of years because I just love this time. I love talking about favorite movies of the year. Not that I don't enjoy, admittedly, talking about a bad movie once in a while, but I just love talking about movies and just talking about movies that I love and seeing where other people come up with conversation. Some people are going to be like, what, you have that movie on your list? Get out of here. But then there's going to be a couple that people are going to be like, oh, yep, respect. What is the worst movies list? I don't know if I could do a worst movies list. What I would do if I was just better about making more consistent content is do more category awards with some positive and some negative ones on, like, say, like most disappointing movie. And again, I don't like to bash, like, I don't like being a negative person in general, but yes, it is still like I still like talking about things I don't like, and I think that's still important. And also, like, even though and even, but also making a movie is hard. So, I'll always mention that before I shit talk it. But yeah, I mean, I definitely would do that. But just in case you're wondering, yes, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is definitely not anywhere near my favorites lists. And uh, and there are a couple other duds from last year, but most of it was pretty dang good. Like, even if like, and I'll always take like a 7.5. Like, there's nothing wrong with a 7.5 movie, but these movies are very special to me. And I know I still didn't mention some movies that were on a lot of people's top 10 lists. I did not mention One Battle After Another. Like, it was, to me, and it's one of the movies where it's like an F. Like, yes, One Battle After Another is not one of my favorite movies of last year, but it's still insanely good. I respect the crap out of it. And I understand the amount of praise. It just doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't click for me, because I still did enjoy it, and I think it's insanely good. But it doesn't click with me as much for me, it's like Sinners is like on the same level as One Battle. For me, it's nowhere close, but that's the beautiful thing. I can think that, but someone else could think Sinners is a piece of garbage, but One Battle After Another is wonderful. What I have heard from F2 was God Tier from Olivia and two others. Good for you, Olivia. That's the thing. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions. K-Pop Demon Hunters is definitely number one on some people's lists. Other movies, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. Like, I'm a massive Mission Impossible fan, and that didn't make my list, but I still had a great time with that. It's just shout out your lists, shout out what your favorites are. I knew I just want to get back to, doing top 10. Yes, someone could love War of the Worlds. I don't think anyone loves that movie unironically, but, if that's on someone's top 10, if that's someone's favorite experience of watching a movie from last year, good for you. That's the beautiful thing about it. I should get to wrapping this up, because I know I took a couple water breaks, but I've been talking for almost 2.5 hours. I'm, clearly, I should, third person, like, oh, yep, third person. Well, wait, what a time to join. I would just, again, if anyone's like, please feel free to share this with anyone. I kind of did this as a live stream for the sake of, well, not having to edit, and because most of the time I ramble anyway. Fantastic Four. And for the context for people watching the VOD after the fact, I'm responding to people in the chat. Yes, I have 2 people in the chat right now. Yay! Welcome to stream. We are close to the end. And unfortunately, this isn't like Twitch where I can just raid someone. That'd be fun. Should I get into Twitch streaming? Let me know. But yeah, please again, feel free to talk about your favorite movies of 2025. Hopefully next week I will be back, maybe with guests, maybe with other people, maybe not. Talking about my predictions for who will win this year's Oscars. Yeah, it's again, it's already been another great year for movies too. And I just, I need to get better about making content. And I knew this one was going to be long by nature of me talking about 10 to 15 to 20 something movies, like at least mentioned during this live stream. But, like feel free to share it. Feel free to do all the YouTube stuff. As corny as it is, it really does mean a lot. I would love to do this more often, like, because I'm sure if, like, say I was like, if I knew, hey, you make a video, you make money out of it, that would definitely get me better about making more consistent content. It's not about that. It is because I love it, but I know. But please feel free to share. And I just love sharing, the discussion, talking about things, and I'd love to entertain. Do all the like, comment, and subscribe. If we ever get a Patreon someday, you'll know. Thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully, for both the live stream and for the VOD after the fact. Pay Alex YouTube. Yes, please. Thank you. Hopefully, again, if everything goes to plan, I will hopefully be back. I want to say roughly next week to talk about my final predictions for the 2026 Oscars, who will win. But and then after that, who knows? Because like I said, I need to get more consistent about this, and probably being shorter would be help. But c'est la vie. Have a great night, or a great morning. In case I don't see it, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. If anyone is watching this late or watched this late, I hope you didn't get, too rattled by a storm, and that PA weather people were fine, and that the world calms down. Yeah. Yes. Thank you all for watching. Stay safe out there. May the force be with you. Again, if hopefully I'll be back next week. And then yeah,